we're not going to spend any more time. We have our next run already set to go, and that is Snowball running Sonic Origins, Sonic & Knuckles Amy and Tails New Game Plus. Take it away, Snowball.
All right, hello everyone. My name is Snowball, and yeah, this is going to be Sonic Origins, Sonic and Knuckles, Amy and Tails, New Game Plus. Sonic Origins is a remastered collection of Sonic 1, CD, 2, and 3 and Knuckles, along with 12 Game Gear titles, I think. Don't quote me on that, I might have gotten the number wrong. But we are going to be doing Sonic and Knuckles, the Knuckles portion of Sonic 3 and Knuckles, New Game Plus. So this is pretty much, I'm starting from a already completed save file that has all 7 of the Super Emeralds, so Hyper Amy is good to go from the very beginning. I'll be starting on the 7th zone, Mushroom Hill, because that is the first zone of Sonic and Knuckles, and then we'll be playing all the way through the end in Death Egg. Tails will be tagging along, shenanigans will ensue, and hopefully he's nice to me when we get to Sky Sanctuary. So I'm going to give a quick countdown, and then we are going to be off. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck.
Thank you. So already Knuckles is going to show up. Sonic is the only character that doesn't actually show up in this run. I love this category name though, because all 4 members of Team Sonic are in the category title. That's legitimately the entire reason why I started learning this category. I'm not joking. But we are already coming up to literally the hardest jump in the entire run, and it is right here. So I have to jump, charge the hammer spin around, so that way I get a nice big jump off of the speed shoes monitor, and then maneuver myself around the oh shoot, I need to go up here, and then maneuver myself around the little edge of the cliff, so that way I don't bonk my head on the ceiling and lose all of my momentum, and then I'm stuck on the lower route, which is a lot slower. I'm gonna just pop Hyperstate now because, yeah, I fell and lost a lot of my momentum. That is the one really tricky part of the sort of top route, if you're able to get back up off of the Speed Shoes monitor. But Hyper Amy has a little bit of a difference from Super Amy, and she can throw an endless stream of Pico Pico hammers. If you just spam the super/hyper transformation button, she'll just throw Pico Pico hammers, and it's awesome, and that makes her even more of a little boss destroyer. Her unique abilities in Origins, there is the Hammer Rush, which is pretty much like Sonic's Drop Dash, except you can, while using it, completely change directions, and it has its nice uses, but the real star of her kit, I think, is the drastically increased size of her hitbox when she jumps and you hit the jump button again. She pulls the Pico Pico hammer out, spins it around, and she gets a massive hitbox that lets her just shred so many of the bosses in this game. Also, you may have noticed I grabbed a big ring that was right along the track. Big rings are the sort of warp gates to the special stages, where you get the Chaos and Super Emeralds. However, if you already have all of the emeralds and you get a big ring, then it will just give you 50 rings, which is very handy because 50 rings is the number that you need to activate Super or Hyper State. So the fact that there is a big ring right along the path on this stage is very, very handy. I'm going to just, like, apparently not hit the checkpoint, which is fine because this boss is kind of a joke when you have invincibility and an endless stream of Pico Pico hammers. I like to call that ability of hers when she's in hyperstate, there are 2 names I like to use. One is a serious name, one is a joke name. The serious name is Chaos Hammerstorm, the joke name is Chaos Home Depot. Now we are moving on into what is, for me personally, the hardest zone in the run. Don't ask me why. Flying Battery. There goes Eggman. This stage is so much easier in Mania. Don't at me. Act 1 is very, very similar in Sonic & Knuckles to Sonic Mania. In Act 2, however, the routes and just stage structures and layouts and everything are honestly very, very different. Going to grab a fire shield right over here. I should probably explain the elemental shields. They don't have as many attributes with Amy, Tails, and Knuckles as they do with Sonic, because Sonic is just sort of like the base blueprint for everyone's moveset, and then all of Tails, Knuckles, and Amy have their own unique abilities that they can just use normally. But with all of the characters, the elemental shields do have at least protection against, in the case of the fire shield, fire or lava damage. Lightning shield protects against electricity. The bubble shield prevents you from drowning. I'm going to pop Hyper State. And then also, the lightning shield has a sort of ring magnet built in, so any rings within a certain radius when you have a lightning shield will just be pulled right to you. And I'm going to take this safe, because if I get crushed here, then that is a stage reset over... Tails, you gotta be kidding me, man. We're just sitting here. Unfortunately, Hyper Amy has a significantly larger jump height threshold, so Tails, if he slips away along the top of the screen, it's significantly easier for Hyper Amy to grab onto him. Also, I'm so glad that in Mania they changed these missile things to only take one cycle to break the floor instead of two. Because just standing here is not the best. But we are coming up onto the final area of this stage, the boss, of course. We're fighting one of the animal capsules. This is a sort of auto-scrollery fight, so honestly, if there are any messages from the host, now is a great time.
Perfect, because we have a $25 donation from Petty with the comment, "Love to see Amy get some love in these events. Best of luck on the run."
Thank you. There we go. Act 2. This is a very scary stage. Things can go wrong in a hurry. Things can go right in also a hurry. Also, ideally, I will have Hyperstate going into the boss, because there's a very silly strat that Hyper Amy can do against the boss of Flying Battery Act 2 that I would really, really like to show off. I completely forgot to jump. So normally you want to jump off of that half pipe, because then you lose a lot of your upward momentum, and you can just sort of sneak back into the passageway and come to this little elevator thing without flying up into the big great cylinder. This is also the part of the stage that sometimes likes to troll me, so hopefully... Okay, good. I do need to hit that little, I don't know what those things are, like the little slide pad things that give you a lot of speed. But I need to hit that, or else I won't have enough speed to get up to the top of that little chute. I'm gonna just pop Hyperstate here, because there are a lot of hazards coming up that I would like to just be able to run through. And also this part, if you don't have enough speed to get all the way up there, you are in a really bad spot. So I'm gonna just pop it there for the safety from the increased speed. That was really risky to not wait an extra cycle. Who cares about having safety in their speedruns? Gonna just run on through here, grab this. I love the fact that there's a second one to pick up Tails, even though he just is going to respawn over here. There should be one last area right here that I need to be careful of, because as soon as those magnetizers, the magnets on the ceiling, shut off, then those huge spiky platforms will come crashing down, and if you are directly under them, when they come crashing down, you will get squished, and you'll have to go back to the most recent checkpoint. There is a checkpoint right before that, but dying there means no more hyperstate, and this is not the actual boss of the stage. There's now like a 40-second auto-scroller for some reason. Fortunately, there are plenty of rings along the way to sort of replenish the rings, because every second your ring count ticks down when you're in super state or hyper state. That is the one sort of drawback to its awesome powers. Tails is gonna just fly me up here, and then we're gonna wait for the elevator. But the boss of this stage is called Egg Hanger, because he likes to hang around. But here's the thing. You can't hit him when he's hanging around. You have to wait for him to swing all around on the stage. But Hyper Amy doesn't like it when evil geniuses hang around, so she's gonna just throw hammers at him. That saves like 20 seconds or so. Maybe not quite 20, but 15 is, I think, a more reasonable assessment. It's pretty nice having hyperstate for that fight. And now, we are moving on into legitimately my favorite zone in all of Sonic, Sandopolis. I adore desert stages, especially when they've got this sort of desert theming going on. And also, it's a really hard set of 2 stages. That's just, for me, a lot of fun. Like, everything that I love about 2D Sonic stage design is on this stage, and I absolutely love it. So, this is objectively probably the hardest zone in the entire run. I still get more scared of Flying Battery and Death Egg, especially Death Egg Act 2, because Death Egg Act 2 can just crush your hopes and dreams in an instant, and Flying Battery is just stressful. I did not hit the super high jump that I wanted to hit, so I'm going to just back that up by jumping out of the loop-de-loop before doing the second cycle. That just puts me on the sort of ending portion of it, so I don't have to do that second time around, and it saves just a tiny bit of time. But now I need to charge a spin dash and jump off of that slope, so that way I just skip that sand slide staircase. Drop on down here. And time the jump wrong, so Tails, please don't fall down that hole, thank you. Fortunately, having Tails, this is a much faster backup than running all the way back to that bouncy little ramp thing that shot me up to that path. Tails, when he wants to cooperate, is very, very nice. Unfortunately, he does not always like to cooperate, as we saw in Flying Battery. So now we are coming up onto the boss. The boss is really a bit of an auto-scroller. Not quite as much of an auto-scroller, though, as Lava Reef 2, slight spoilers. The pyramid is going to come up from the ground, and then a huge guardian golem is going to walk out of the door and jump very slowly after us, and then we're going to sort of bonk him into the quicksand. But while this guy's going for a nice leisurely stroll, if there are any more messages from the host, now's another really, really good time.
Yeah, I'll just take this time to remind everyone that you are watching Fireside Pride 2024 here on Twitch. This is the final day of it, and we are benefiting Point of Pride. To find out more about our charity, you can find the link to their site in the panels below the stream. We use !charity in chat. If you're interested in donating, you can type !donate. Find the schedule by using !schedule, or you could also see the incentives with !incentives.
Who here likes ghosts?
I like ghosts.
Well, we've got the ghost level. We're now inside the pyramid. This stage has a couple of really cool gimmicks. There are these sort of pushable levers that control some of the doors. We've got the dimming lights and the ghosts. The ghosts grow in power and size with each level of darkness that the lights go down. And then those levers hanging from the ceiling will turn the lights back on. Turning the lights on will make the ghosts disappear. Once they are at full strength and the lights are completely off, the ghosts will sort of try and chase after me. I am going to pull that lever there just for the sake of marathon safety, because I don't want to get eaten by ghosts during a marathon run. That would not be ideal. Also, that scorpion, I am so glad that I was able to just spin dash roll into him, because that is the scorpion that likes to end careers. So, coming up is a little bit of a auto-scrollery elevator shaft escape sort of sequence. Gotta hit that, and then the sand is going to rise. I like to call this portion of the stage the Sun-Baked Sandcastle portion, because it reminds me of the level from Super Mario Galaxy, Sun-Baked Sandcastle, and that was one of my favorite stages when I played through that game as a young kid. So, I just liked having little callbacks for myself throughout the run. Going to open up this door, dump some more sand in. I'm going to try to get Tails to... Well, I was going to try to get Tails to pull that light switch. I don't like the fact that there's the big ghosts. Okay, if I had missed that jump, that would have been really, really bad. Now I need to sort of be rolling because... and jumping, because rolling and jumping is the only way to sort of get these ghosts to stop chasing me. They are a bit of a problem right now. And that's not good. Well, Tails, you're supposed to help me out here. Tails was very much not supposed to grab me there. That was the opposite of helping. So losing all my rings there is very unfortunate, because I was literally about to pop Hyperstate. I was going to wait until after that sequence, because that is, again, an auto-scroller. So with the limited rings throughout that portion of the stage, popping Hyperstate is far from a good idea, because it is very easy to then just lose Hyperstate, and then you're in a bit of a bind. Also, I have no rings. Never mind. Really, for this stage, having Hyperstate is just for speeding up this sort of back third of the stage, and also making the boss a little bit less of a headache. This is the egg golem coming up, and Amy just decided not to jump there, which is really unfortunate. And Tails is being, again, the opposite of helpful. Tails, why are you... Please don't tell me that this is, like, a teaser of what is going to happen on Sky Sanctuary. Maybe he's getting it all out of his system so that way Sky Sanctuary can go well.
Yeah, I'm sure it's gonna be fine.
Yeah. So normally what I would be doing on this fight is just the usual, throwing all those Pico hammers at him, but since I can't do that, just let him extend his arm out to use as a platform and just sort of bonk. Also, I don't know why, but Sandopolis, both stages in Sando, are like the only ones that you can actually skip the sort of ending sequences on. I don't know why. Also, that guy never hits me. That's very rude of him. Gonna grab this lightning shield for a little bit of added protection, and also makes grabbing all of those rings like actually reasonable. And this is the only time that I'm really going off of the main route to grab rings, because there are a bunch up there, and this allows me to pop Hyperstate super early on the stage, and ideally I will be keeping it all the way to the end. Tails is probably, yep, Tails is gonna mess with the elevator. I'm going to, because of the way that I slide my finger across my controller when I'm charging up spin dashes, I also just sort of hit the super transformation button, as you're probably seeing by Amy just spamming hammers. There are times where the hammers will actually break ring monitors on the other side of walls, and I will get the 10 rings within the monitors, which is really handy on long stages like this, just having a little bit more time to work with, and not really have to worry about losing said hyperstate. Hopefully I don't get crushed by this thing. I don't know how I've never gotten crushed by that before, but every single time I play the stage, I get scared that it's going to happen. There shouldn't be too much more before the end of this stage. I need to be careful about this one because that is a very, very low ceiling, so that I don't even know what that's supposed to be, because it's not one of the drilling robots that Eggman has in Lava Race. It's just like a jet platform with spikes on the bottom for some reason. But that one has a very short distance to rise up before it comes crashing down, and it will squish. But now we have a little hand, and Amy can just handle this by standing here, because she's invincible. So, now we are moving on into Act 2. Act 2 is one of the longest stages in the run. Probably second longest, only behind Death Egg Act 2. And it is a very, very pretty stage aesthetically. We've got this sort of crystal cave vibe going on. I'm going to just spin dash right into some spikes. Don't worry about that. I always misjudge the distance before that jump, and I always fall down a layer. We're going to go up to the top route, because top route is much, much better for this stage. I need to try and grab that invincibility monitor. Sometimes Amy just likes to get silly and just gets stuck in that sort of like vertical half pipe, and then it's an adventure to try and actually get her unstuck with the invincibility monitor. But fortunately, she felt like just going as fast as possible today. Getting hit there is not a problem, because there is a big ring coming up. Jumped way too early. Beat the cycle out, please, thank you. Yeah, there's a big ring on, actually a shortcut coming up momentarily. Going to just come around here. Amy, come on, girl. There we go, hit the spring, pop on across, and then backtrack slightly to the staircase, because there is a secret passageway right here. Big ring, hit the switch to open the door, pop hyperstate, and hopefully I'll have enough rings to be able to do something pretty interesting, because there's actually a little bit of a level transition between this portion of the stage and the boss arena. Going through this screen transition will shut hyperstate off, and this is very important, because, oh hey Knuckles, there is an auto-scroller section, like literally an auto-scroller platforming section before the actual boss fight itself. If I had hyperstate on here, then my rings would just be draining, and that would not be good. However, because the level transition shuts hyperstate off, I can preserve all of my rings, and now I don't have to worry about a thing when I get to the actual boss, as long as I don't fall in a hole here or along the lava fall, which is coming up right here. But fortunately, there's a checkpoint right there. Also, there is an unseen checkpoint at the start of the sort of level transition. So also, I popped that maybe a little too early. I'm going to sort of crouch like this, so that way there's no real risk of having to wait for the platform that was okay, or not. It's going to just decide to ignore that and drop both platforms. So, yo, game, there's not supposed to be a third one. Can you please stop dropping platforms? There we go. Eggman is in a trolling mood, I see. So now Amy's going to just stand here, and this boss is not hittable with hyperstate, which is a tragedy. On top of the fact that it's also more than the normal 8 hits, which is also a tragedy. So we're going to be sitting here for like a minute. So if there are any messages from the host, this is a great time.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to the raiders and the couple of raids that have come in since my last update. And I just want to take the time for those of you that may not know what we're here for. We're raising money for Point of Pride. Point of Pride is a trans-led 501c nonprofit organization that has served tens of thousands of people in all 50 states and 100 plus countries by providing access to gender-affirming health and wellness services. The money we raised this weekend will go to Point of Pride's various support programs, such as their annual Transgender Surgery Fund, which is a scholarship-like program that provides direct financial assistance to trans folks who cannot afford their gender-affirming surgery. If you would like to apply for one of Point of Pride's grants or government programs, get involved as a donor or volunteer, or just learn more about them, you can visit pointofpride.org, which you can find the link to in the panels below.
Alright, so even though Tails had to literally take the heat that fight, he was very, very cooperative on getting the early capsule hit, since it was one of those capsules that floats on down from the top of the screen, and Tails being able to fly is very, very handy. Now we've got 2 one-act zones in a row. Hidden Palace, sort of a mini Act 3 to Lava Reef, because, I mean, like, music's the same, visuals are pretty much the same, it's just a fancy palace in Lava Reef. We're fighting Knuckles now. And, he doesn't really know what to do against adorable pink hedgehogs with giant golden hammers. So we're gonna just put him in the corner, and that's the fight. So, unfortunately, this cutscene is not skippable, and unfortunately I hit jump way too late, so I just crashed into that wall. But Eggman is stealing the Master Emerald, because he's not a good guy. So Eggman here does not have 8 hits worth of HP. He's got, I think, 255? Don't quote me on that. I might be getting the number wrong. But if you use sort of like glitches or any sort of thing to adjust the fights to just keep him there for long enough for you to actually get all of those hits, I'm pretty sure that I've heard that it will just either soft lock and or crash the game. So don't do that. But now Knuckles is going to help us get to Sky Sanctuary. And I'm going to be trying a little bit of a different route than I normally do. I was shown this sort of alternate route yesterday by a good friend of mine named Callie Macken. And I literally started practicing this said route in the setup room before this marathon. So, fingers crossed that Tails behaves, because if Tails behaves, then this is going to be really cool. And when I say really cool, I mean we are going to barely be actually playing this stage. Sky Sanctuary, being in the sky, has a lot of verticality. There's a whole lot of back and forth going up from layer to layer. So, big jump there, skips that. Now, I'm going to come over here to this fountain, and Tails... Oh, Tails... There he is. So now, this stage has 3 sort of boss fights spread out throughout the stage. All of them are against Mecha Sonic. Thank you, Tails, for waiting to wear out until I could get on that platform. So now I need him to come down here. Yeah, so there's sort of like, ow, a bit of level, and then a fight against Mecha Sonic. And then another bit of level. Tails. Let's just come over here. This is a much better spot anyway. I don't know why I was trying to do it from the other spot. And first 2 fights are actually sort of like callbacks to Tails is not cooperating right now. Callbacks to fights from Sonic 1 and Sonic 2. The callback fight. You good, Tails? Tails is not good. You know what? We're gonna just run this way. I wish I knew that spring was there, because now I am literally right where I need to be. Yeah, note to self, just run right. I knew that spring was there and just completely forgot about it. So, there's the Green Hill fight, which is the one with the big wrecking ball. And then there's also the fight against Eggman from Metropolis Zone in Sonic 2, which is the one where he sort of is in the Eggmobile and has all those sort of, like, bubbles floating around him, and each time you hit him, then a, like, little balloon version of himself spawns. Those fights are on this stage as various checkpoints throughout the level. Coming up at the top of these ramps is the fight against Mecha Sonic properly. Unfortunately, I can't activate Hyperstate. If I could activate Hyperstate, this fight would be over practically in an instant. Fortunately, he's being very cooperative right now. I think that's already 5 hits. Never mind, he's no longer being cooperative. Tails almost snuck a cheeky hit in, that would have been awesome. There we go. And also, just flying up like that, cutting out a huge portion of the stage, still is more consistently faster than going to fight the Green Hill fight, and then doing that sort of huge skip upwards later that, when I commented on that was where I needed to be, that skip you normally do. This part of the stage is the bane of my existence. Alright, cool. Now we are pretty much free from getting locked in place a lot. Now, Tails needs to help here, which means he's going to play with the spring. Tails! The, caption of this run is just Tails in all caps. He has not been my friend this run whatsoever, and also he was having a rough time on Sky Sanctuary. I don't know what was going on with him teleporting all around. But fortunately, I don't believe I need his help with anything else this run. There might be one thing I'm forgetting, but I don't think there is. Fortunately, I still have the Lightning Shield. That is a very aggressive Badnik, unfortunately, so... This tends to be the zone that I just like to play it as a damage boost to the zone, because that's honestly more fun. Now, let's see, can Tails help me with these locks? Yes, he can. Wow, that was super efficient. I'm going to just pop Hyperstate now, so that way I don't get hit, lose my rings, all that good stuff. I'm going to use this roller coaster, and I want to dodge the rest. Same sort of deal on Act 2, use the first roller coaster, then dodge the rest, because the rest will just take you in circles for the fun of it. And that can be very slow. But now we have an extremely chaotic fight against Red Eye, the Master of the Elevator. And this fight is a menace if you don't have the invincibility from Hyperstate. Both phases become a nightmare. But with that, there's only one stage left in this run. Death Egg Act 2. This is, the first half of this stage is the most stressful part of the entire run because they're sort of seesaw-like platforms that after they tilt for a certain sort of like height, they will just fall away. And at least one of them, for some reason, is over a bottomless pit that you can't see. So it's also really far from the last checkpoint, to the point where the next checkpoint is literally right after those seesaws. So once I get past that, then I'll sort of feel like at that point I'm home free. Also, that was a very efficient spin dash jump over that pit. I sort of autopiloted there. I usually only grab that bubble shield if I've been hit, which by then I normally am, and I've lost my lightning shield. I would much rather have a lightning shield for this portion just because of the ring magnetism. There's not really a point to having a bubble shield, aside from just having an extra hit and letting me damage boost there, which I did not intend to do, but I may or may not have forgotten that those spikes were on the ceiling. There are too many spikes on this stage to keep track of all of them. I'm going to also try to wait as long as I can to pop Hyperstate, because I would like to show off Hyperstate in the final boss, in the Death Egg finale fight. And I need to have 50 rings after Uwu Ball, which is the Act 2 boss. There we go. Past the seesaws. That is really, really good. So, the scary part of the stage is now past. We are on the home stretch. If there are any final messages from the host for this run, now is the perfect time.
Yeah, so we got I'm a little pardon my stuttering. I'm a little uncertain how to process this right now, but we got a $2,500 donation from Millie T. Fox with no comment, but the entirety of that went to our Doom 64 bonus fun level showcase. So we have met that incentive and then some.
Wow.
When I said number go up, number went up.
Number definitely went up. Wow. That's amazing.
So hopefully that helps get Tails in line for the rest of this run.
Yeah, there's actually one more spot where he could have some very poor-timed shenanigans. So this is Uwu Ball, because this sort of sound that it makes while it's bobbing up and down, it sounds like it's saying Uwu a bunch of times. Very easy with the hammers. Now we are in Death Egg finale. We've got to take on the Death Egg robot. This is a 3-phase fight. Time is going to be after the screen fades to white, after the 8th hit of the final phase. So the first phase is he's trying to squish us with his big metal fingers, but of course, because Amy is in hyper state, she doesn't really like that. Also, thank you, Tails, for getting that one finger that I flew myself to the other side of the screen from. Now I'm going to just throw hammers while he tries to shoot lasers with the Master Emerald, fire from his nose. He really should probably get that checked out, because I don't think you're supposed to be able to shoot fire out of your nose. That sounds like a problem. Now he's going to try to escape with the Master Emerald in his Eggmobile. 1... Tails is gonna fall in the pit. 3, 4, 5, 6. I think Tails got the 7th. Alright. And... time.
GG!
Oh. Tails.
Let's get some GGs and big rounds of applause for Snowball in the chat right now.
If there's one thing that can sum up this run, it is definitely just in all caps, Tails. This was
Tails. Period.
This was a very shenanigans-filled run, thanks to Best Boy Tails. Going to give a few real quick shout-outs. Really quick shout-outs to the Classic Sonic speedrunning community for being super cool and super encouraging to new runners. Shout-outs again to my good friend Callie Macken for being a fellow Amy Rose superfan, and also for showing me the sort of skipping even more of Sky Sanctuary route. I'm really glad that I was able to show that off, and also show off Tails' glitching around on Sky Sanctuary. I don't know how that happened, and hopefully he won't do that again, but... And shout outs to the team at Power Up with Pride for letting me show off Sonic Origins.
Well, we do still have some more Sonic Origins coming up because we did meet that Amy Rose boss rush incentive.
Who likes pinball?
Who I hear like I like pinball. Words. All right, welcome back, everybody. We just had to take a quick little break after Snowball's great Sonic Origins run to prepare for Snowball to now do the Amy Rose boss rush. So, without any further ado, let's get into it.
All right, so I mentioned at the start of the previous run that Sonic Origins is a collection of Sonic 1, CD, 2, and 3 and Knuckles. It also has a handful of special modes. There's Anniversary Mode, which is the one that I sort of played in, which is the games in 16:9, with the removal of the life system. There's Classic Mode, which is how they played on the Sega Genesis, and in the CD's case, the Sega... Is it just called the Sega CD? I don't know. I really should know that. But anyway, there's also Mirror Mode, where you play the stages and they are just mirrored. And then there's also Boss Rush, which is you have 3 lives. And most of the time you have no rings, which means if you get hit, you are done on that fight. 3 lives to get through nearly every boss across all 4/5 titles. So this is gonna be tough, because Boss Rush is a very merciless category. But I will be playing through all 4 of them with Amy Rose. This time Tails will not be here to help me / cause a whole lot of shenanigans, but Eggman will still be here to cause shenanigans, so let's get this show on the road. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. 6 bosses of Sonic 1. As there are 6 zones, only 6 Eggman fights. And this fight is legitimately one of the hardest in the entire all boss rush run. As you can see, I've already died. Doing this one fast, it is very, very easy to mess up the timing just a little bit and crash into the wrecking ball. That is never ideal. So I thought that I did that one too early. That was scary. Should be just 2 more hits now. Jump up, jump up. There we go. Now we are off to Marble Zone with the Egg Scorcher. This fight, I am going to try to get 3 hits. Jump across. I only got 1, so now I need 5, 6, 7, and 8. Fortunately, that little bit, Amy can just stand in the fire and is perfectly fine, because why not? This fight I need to be a little bit careful about, because the floor geometry is not what it seems on that stage. You can get stuck in place, pushed around really easily, it's strange. But this is the first fight where you actually get rings at the start, and this also isn't really a fight. This is sort of an escape sequence, because there is rising water behind us, and that's not good. So we need to get out of here. And Eggman also realizes that he needs to leave as well. So that's the whole fight. Now, this one, if you're going for PB/world record, this is by far the hardest and most scary fight in the entire run. I am going to do a marathon safe strat, because when Eggman drops these mines from the Eggmobile, it is incredibly easy, if you're going for a hit at that same time, to just barely mess up your positioning and get just destroyed, as you have no rings, much like almost all of the other fights. I'm going to pick up 1 ring here for the final zone fight. This is... in the original, Eggman's on a script, and will show up in the same spot every single time. In Origins, that is not the case. This is completely random. So hopefully Eggman won't pull any shenanigans that'll end up juking me out, and then I'll miss a cycle, because... or Amy's gonna just jump instead of charging a spin dash. That can also lose a cycle. Oh well. Fortunately, this fight is... once you get the rhythm of it, it's not really that scary, especially once you have rings on it. I'm very glad that in the boss rush they give you rings for this fight, because it is not the hardest thing in the world to get your positioning just ever so slightly off and get clipped by one of these energy balls. And they're very ouchy. But we got 1 more cycle here, assuming I don't miss. He's gonna give me literally the easiest hit possible there. And now he is going to try to run away, and that is Sonic 1. Interesting little quirk about the timer, the in-game timer for the boss rush modes. If you die during a boss rush, the amount of time that attempt takes is not factored in to your end time. It only takes into account the times on attempts where you beat each of the bosses. Now we've got Pinball. Let's see how this goes. That's not good. Let's just go back down. There we go. Or not. Amy. There we go. Ideally, that would have been a 6 or 7 second fight. 19 seconds is still on the... that did not go that bad side of the world on that fight, so I'll take it. Now, Egg Bubbler. This is a fight that Amy can get a pretty nifty quick hit in there, but she has not been wanting to hit recently on that. Really don't know why. Amy, can you please... Thank you. I think I might have been inputting to pull her hammer out a touch late. That might be what was going wrong. Now I'm going to try to go for a cycle skip here. This is literally the fight. Normally, you have to wait for 6 of these mines to drop. But if you just flick left at the last second on each one, then you should only have 5 drop before the fight ends, and hopefully that wasn't too far left there. I'm going to find out very, very soon. That might have also been a little late on that one. Fingers crossed. That should be good. Yep, cool. So that saves 5 or so seconds, which is in a category as short as the Sonic CD boss rush. 5 seconds is a massive amount of time. But now we're in the Wacky Workbench. Wacky Workbench is not as awful in boss rush because there's not the entirety of the Wacky Workbench stages that you have to play. You just have to do the boss. And honestly, the boss is slow-paced, but after what the stages of Wacky Workbench entail, anything's better than that. I'm going to come over here just because muscle memory always feels better going for the final hit on the left, for me personally. Gonna hit him there and shimmy on the way down. If that didn't instantly go over to the Metal Sonic fight, Eggman would also do a little shimmy dance. But this is the real rivalry that started all those years ago. Amy Rose versus Metal Sonic, both introduced in Sonic CD. Now they're facing off on Stardust Speedway. This is easily the scariest fight for, like, PB attempts. Because you could say that debatably the final one is a little bit more stressful because of needing a cycle skip that's pretty tight timing. But this stage is really long. And there are a lot of different spots that can go wrong. And also a lot of spots that can go right that you can save a lot of time on. That went very well. Metal Sonic has been messing me up recently, so I'm very glad that I was able to first try that fight. I am going to go for the cycle skip on this boss. This is really tough to get, though. Got it. So I had to damage boost there, or else I wouldn't have been able to get in for the second hit, because I would have just gotten hit by his little spinner blade things, whatever those are. I would have gotten hit by them, and my hit would have never come close to connecting. But since I crashed into him after getting the first hit, so I had invincibility frames, I was able to sneak past with the hammer for a second hit. And that skips an entire cycle, which ends up saving like 13 seconds or so on that fight, so it's really, really handy to hit. And that is the Sonic CD boss rush. 420.
ECD?
That is... Where did I lose that much time compared to my PB? Oh, the pinball stage, that's where. I forgot that the pinball stage did not go as ideal as you'd like. But now we are into Sonic 2. This is, for me, easily the hardest boss rush. I don't really know why. Nice, I was able to get the sort of back and forth hammer rush extra hit into rolling into him for the final hit, so he didn't leave the screen again. That was a really tough fight. Now we're moving to Aquatic Ruin. Amy Rose is about to show Eggman that he should never try to out-hammer her. Because, the increased hitbox from her hammer jump makes it so she can just not care about jumping on top of the arrows that get stuck in the pillars. Now... Ah, dang it. There's a fast strat on this stage that's pretty tough. Amy, please. Pretty much, it's what I'm doing, except charging a hammer rush every single time you bounce off of Eggman, and effectively negating all of the momentum that is sort of sending you down the curved wall, and you're able to just jump back instantaneously for another hit. It's pretty tough timing. So honestly, getting it once, I'm pretty happy with. Okay, getting hit as early as I did on that fight is not ideal, so I had to kind of focus up real quick, or else he was going to go back into the ceiling, and a bunch of debris was going to fall again, and that was going to just lose a lot of time because it's a pretty slow cycle. I think I got 4 hits in on him, so now he's going to fire 3 lasers from this thing. I don't know, like mechanical arm? Mechanical tentacle? I don't know what that's supposed to be, but it's got a laser cannon on the end of it. He doesn't have the best aim. Egg Bouncer. So this is the fight that I was trying to describe, and I don't think I did the greatest job of describing in the last run when I was on Sky Sanctuary. Mechasonic gets in an Eggmobile and tries to do pretty much the exact same thing as Eggman is trying to do here. It doesn't work for either of them. Spoiler alert. This is not the best idea of one of Eggman's machines, but then again, he never seems to take into account the fact that Tails is almost always with Sonic, and Tails can literally fly. So I don't think Eggman has the best foresight going. But this is Laser Prison. That was Laser Prison. Now we have Death Egg on Easy Mode, and what I mean by Death Egg on Easy Mode is, for some reason, in the base game of Sonic 2, you have to do both of these bosses with no checkpoint and with no rings. But the developers of Sonic Origins were kind enough to give the players 3 rings at the start of Death Egg in the boss rush. So, ow, I completely jumped way too early. Don't ask me why I did that. So this is, I believe, a 12-hit boss instead of the usual 8. So he's going to fly up, and then he's going to try to target me for sort of like a ground pound attack. And then he's going to launch his arms with the big spiky claws. And Amy's not really gonna care about that. So yeah, that is Sonic 2. That was actually a really good IGT. We have 1 boss rush left. It is definitely the longest, as it is both Sonic 3 and Sonic & Knuckles, and there are some pretty lengthy fights in there. Egg Scorcher Mark II, pretty straightforward fight. Try and get all 5 of those hits in, but if you don't get all 5, it's really not the end of the world, because that is one of the much more tame fights throughout this this set. This fight loves to troll. The hitbox on Eggman's attacks are fairly inconsistent at times, but that went just about as well as it could. So I will gladly take that. Now this one I need to be very cautious about my positioning, because the fire jets from the Eggmobile can really cause problems. And I did not mean to jump high enough to just sort of juggle hits on him, but that works. Also, this is the most evil fight in the entire run. I'm going to only do 1 hit there because safety. That was incredibly risky to go for the final hit then, because he was about to shoot a bunch of lightning bolts on the ground that would sort of create practically a gravity well and pull Amy in. I genuinely don't know how I did not get punished for that. I should have, that should not have worked in my favor. But now we've got launch base. We've got 3 fights on this stage. While I'm working through the the first 2. If there are any messages from the host, now is a pretty nice time for that.
Yeah. Once again, we had another raid, so just a quick little reminder that you are watching, for those who are new here, you're watching Fireside Pride 2024. Benefiting Point of Pride. You can donate using ! Donate in the chat, and check out the schedule using ! Schedule.
Okay, getting the 0 cycle on the egg rocket is really, really tight, so I am very glad that I was able to get that. It's only tight timing / spacing because of that little sharp electric or whatever it is that floats around him. Man, why do you have to drop so early? And then leave in literally the worst spot. So ideally what would have happened is he would have been a little bit closer to the middle on both when he was dropping and leaving. That way I would have been able to get upwards of 3 extra hits on him. Of course, Eggman does not want this run's IGT to be good. Because why would he? He's the villain. So there are 2 hits from when he's dropping down, and he is quick to book it in this fight tonight. This is very strange. More hit should be good. Now we are back to literally all of the bosses that we just saw. But this time I actually have to play them. I can't just throw hammers, which is unfortunate. Should be 1 more hit. There we go. Egg Scrambler down. I genuinely don't know why they felt the need to keep the 41-second auto-scroller section of Flying Batteries boss in here. Because why? I just want to fight the boss. I don't want to sit here in an elevator that's very slow.
I just want to talk to who made that decision. I just want to talk to them.
Yeah, it's definitely an unfortunate level design choice, but we're on the platform. We're almost to the egg hanger. I'm going to try to stay close to the center of this platform because the center is always where he drops. Unfortunately, because there were rings near the start of the auto-scroller section, I was able to get some rings there. I cannot believe I was able to land on time to start charging a spin dash again. That is very, very handy. I am going to also grab the rings here. For some reason, I thought that they were placed where they are on the regular stage. This is the boss rush. So this fight's going to be no different than in the previous run because this time and last time I did not have Hyper State to throw the hammers. But we have the Egg Inferno again. But this time I do actually have to, like, play the fight. So I'm going to get on this platform, hold down, and hopefully this should make it so this is the only platform that goes all the way down into the boss arena. I cannot just stand in place this time. I do not have that invincibility. It is still as long of a wait as it was in Sonic & Knuckles New Game Plus, but now I actually have to be very careful because I slightly misplaced my jump and landed ever so slightly on one of the mines and now lost all of my rings because the rings go into the lava. Even though the lava is like solid floor that you can stand on, the rings don't think so, which is very annoying when playing a fight like this. So this is kind of a lock in as much as possible so that way we don't have to watch the vast majority of this fight a third time. I also can't remember how many hits I'm on so far. I think this full cycle and then 2 more if I'm doing the math correctly. I do not appreciate the fact that they did not keep Fire Shield in the Lava Falls segment right before the fight. There we go. Oh, that was stressful, losing all of my rings right at the start. We don't fight Uwu Ball in Boss Rush, unfortunately. We also don't fight Mecha Sonic or Knuckles. I'm not sure why, honestly, though. Given the fact that you only have 3 lives and this many fights that are super, super tough, I'm not going to complain about that. So, same deal as before. Time is going to be coming up when I get the last hit of the second phase. There is no escape sequence in Boss Rush. So, I messed up one of the spin dashes and had to do an extra cycle. That's fine. But 8 hits to go, and then the run is over. Because, as mentioned, there is not the escape sequence like in the regular Sonic 3 and Knuckles ending. That should be 5, 6, 7, and 9. That I almost got hit by a Master Emerald laser there. That was scary. 741. That is a pretty solid IGT, especially since most of the time loss compared to my PB was on Big Arms Eggman being so fast to drop and leave during the back and forth section. I am very happy with how that run went. Like Metal Sonic has not been pulling any punches in practice, and Metal Sonic went fine. I think I'm happiest that I was able to show off the cycle skip on the Metallic Madness fight at the end of Sonic CD, because that is the hardest trick in the entire run.
Yeah.
So, gonna give shout-outs once again to the Classic Sonic speedrunning community for being super, super supportive and encouraging. Shout-outs to my Amy Rose superfan friend, Callie Macken, for being an Amy Rose superfan and just being a really, really great person. Shout-outs to Power Up with Pride for letting me show off so many different areas of Sonic Origins. I had so much fun. Shameless plug, you can find me on Twitch, YouTube, and Blue Sky at snowballsmb, and also the first of these 2 runs that I ran tonight, Sonic Origins, Sonic & Knuckles, Amy and Tails New Game Plus, I will be running on January 6th at AGDQ. I am super, super excited about that, and I am so glad that I was able to give all of the Power Up with Pride viewers a little bit of a treat to see what is to come for that run. But yeah, again, thank you so much to Power Up with Pride for letting me show off so much of maybe my favorite Sonic game. It really, really means a lot, and I'm very glad that I was able to be a part of an event raising money for such a great cause.
And thank you for sharing your runs with us. It was a great time. You did fantastic.
Thank you.
Chat, once again, give it up for Snowball SMB for her amazing Sonic Origins runs. Both of them were fantastic. Both of them were a joy to be a part of. And also, I am so happy that I get to be the one that shares this fact that during those runs, thanks to very, 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 very generous donations, we have not only beaten the PB of Power Up with Pride, Winter Pride 2023, but also the PB of Pride 2024. We have raised more money than both those events individually, and that is such a great way for me to sign off my last hosting shift of the weekend. I am so grateful for Power Up with Pride for giving me this opportunity. I am Professor Birch. I have been your host, and I'm going to leave you in the lovely and capable hands of Mina Agura, who will take you through our Nightmare Cart run with Joker coming up next. Anyway, love you each. Peace.
All right, everyone, I'm back again for one final hosting shift. It is me, Mina. Do not use my last name. I'm not in trouble. You are not my mother. And I am going to be your host through our next two runs with some more of my favorite people. I've just gotten really lucky with all my hosting shifts this time around, getting to hang out with all my friends, raising money for such a great cause here at Fireside Pride 2024. Can we, take a moment to reflect on how much we've gotten done this weekend for Point of Pride? $8,717.16 going to that amazing charity. We've had so many great speed runs all through the weekend as well. Definitely make sure to go back through, check the Twitch highlights, and make sure you watch anything that you missed, because it's just been a banger event from start to finish so far. And we're still not done. We still have a few more hours of content for y'all. But while we finish getting set up for Legally Distinct Bloodborne cart, if you've not already done so, get up, stretch, grab a drink, do what you need to do, take care of yourselves. We're going to get into that run very shortly. So don't go too far, because we'll be back soon. All right, welcome back from Big Stretchies, everyone. Hopefully, you've gotten what you need to survive the horrors of our next two runs. A little bit of a mini horror block, it's Nightmare Cart. Bloodborne was definitely gothic horror, and then Doom 64, of course, is it's Doom 64. It's got its moments, but if you're just now tuning in, if you missed what was going on, if you missed my first introduction, hey, it's me, Mina. And this is my final hosting shift for the event. I have hosted a lot this event, and it's been a lot of fun. We've raised a lot of money here at Fireside Pride 2024 for Point of Pride. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Point of Pride. In case you've just tuned in, I know we've had some raiders come in. I know people are coming and going. So, let's talk about them real quick. They are an amazing charity. They are a trans-led 501c3 nonprofit organization here in the United States, and they've served tens of thousands of people in all 50 states and 100 plus other countries by providing access to gender-affirming health and wellness services. All of our money is going directly to funding their various support programs, and they have a bunch of them that we really like to point out in particular. They have a couple different scholarship-like programs that provide direct financial assistance to trans folks who can't afford the care that they need. So there's an annual transgender surgery fund, an HRT access fund, electrolysis support fund. Those are all amazing. They offer free chest binders and femme shapewear for those who may need them. Then they have a generalized Thrive fund, which covers all sorts of stuff that doesn't really fall neatly into any particular category. Things like updating your ID and, voice lessons, reproductive health services, things like that. If you type !charity, it'll bring up a link to their website. You can learn more about them as an organization. If you want to get more involved with them as an organization, or if you think you might be able to take advantage of any of their programs for your own personal transition needs, you can apply on their website as well. So definitely check them out, !donate, to help out financially if you can. I've been saying it all weekend. We get it. Money is hard. But even with the economy being what it is right now, we have still raised over $8,700 since Thursday evening when we started the marathon. It's so amazing. This is one of my favorite events to be a part of in any capacity. It's a huge honor to be hosting for some of my favorite people tonight. It's a huge honor for me to be a part of the team permanently throughout the year. It's just such a great organization, and we couldn't do what we do without the support of each and every one of you in the chat. So genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for being here with us, because it takes a village. And I'm being told that we're ready to go with the setup, so I'm going to have them come join me, and we'll get started here in just a moment.